Hello and welcome to, technically this is another episode of The Loud Lens with me, Khandie, but we're going to talk, also share this on my YouTube because I feel like this is a good one for YouTube and it is for the old podcast. First, full disclosure, I am battling a nasty chest infection. It's already seen me in A&E and in hospital. But let's talk about this. The dirty truth about why photographers steal images, why stolen images hurt you, and why people continue to turn a blind eye and wonder why it continues. That's where we're going with this, okay? So let's go. Now, there's time for some harsh truths, some hate loving, some being a meanie, I guess you could say. The truth is some photographers are out there stealing people's work and passing it off as their own. And we know this. And the worst bit, many of us in the industry are letting it happen. Does that mean we're to blame? I don't know. Maybe we are. I mean, I did speak to two people who openly admitted to me that they have stolen images. In fact, one said they did it because it was so easy to do. And the other one was trying to plead ignorance. I basically met them in a group and I quizzed them. And here we go. You'll be surprised at some of this stuff. I've got notes. Let's go. Okay, folks, welcome to The Loud Lens. I am Khandie, your outspoken, slightly groggy voice this time, photographer, educator, you name it, it's me. How you doing? So there is a dirty, stealing, thieving elephant in the room. I feel sorry because elephants are great. I'm not blaming them. It just seems to be the word that we all like using. And it is the fact that people take images and pass them off as their own, be it in a way in which they're just like, oh, this is my inspiration, or they just don't admit it and just allow you to allude to it, okay? Now, I am sure at some point you've scrolled through the old social media and you have gone, hang on a minute, I recognise the image. Did I see that in somebody else's work? Is that my mate's work? Wait, is that my work? God, that's happened to me a few times. Or did I not just see that on Pinterest last week? And you are not crazy and you are not alone. The image thieves are out there and guess what? They're thriving while the rest of us are essentially looking the other way. So let's talk about it. Let's talk why we're not calling this out. I'm not just calling out lazy frauds, by the way, who steal work. Because I feel like if you, and let's be honest, it is stealing work in the most part. Your work, in fact, people don't like calling people thieves. They don't even want to tell them you stole my work. They just want to say, oh, you've used my work. They stole your work. Let's get used to the right terminology. But also the rest of us let them get away with it. And spoiler alert, you might not like what I have to say, but that's never stopped me before. And I've pretty much, having been in this group chat with people, there's a lot of us who feel the same way as me. So I'm going to share it. Excuse the heavy breathing. I'm doing my Darth Vader impression right now. Okay, so why do people steal? Why do photographers steal? And I'm going to put this out there that I was able to speak to two people and they were very blunt in why they stole. And it was a little bit shocking. First one, it kind of went with a lot of what I thought it was. One, they lacked the skill, the confidence. They kind of bought a camera, learned how to shoot it on auto, then decided they want to make money off it, had no idea, saw these images and thought that's what I want to try and recreate. So they borrowed the image, right? I'll be honest, I have seen this time and time again. And, you know, I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I have some huge issues with it as to why it keeps happening. First of all, I always think your client is going to be disappointed in this, surely, but this sounds awful. Most of these people are not aiming for the clients who expect that level of work. They see that work and I'll be honest, they look at this work and these clients are going, I only paid 30 quid for this. Oh, these are amazing. Even if we as professionals will go, excuse me, your color balance is warm there, cold there, that's out of focus. Because to be honest, most of these photographers are not going for like clients who actually really know what they're looking for, okay? Because they would spot that this person doesn't have the capabilities a mile of. Also, the very mixed different abilities and processing styles and editing, okay? So if showing up, it's kind of like for me, how I look at it is, it's like showing up to the half marathon. I use that because I had to run that once. And then taking someone else's medal at the finish line and claiming that you did it. And then putting it over Facebook how hard you tried. You've seen the content creators who do stuff like this, well, or lie or do, yeah, I'm done. Okay. But it happens. And yeah. The other one is the shortcut mentality. I don't know if that's the best word to use it, but so one of them was saying to me that they just didn't have the time to build their portfolio up. And they saw these images and they were like, do you know what? It's fine. I'll just use them. Because they couldn't see any watermark. We'll get onto that in a minute. They just thought it would be fine. It was basically for me, as way I was looking, it was like, you don't want to do the train, you don't want to put in the time, you just want to take the glory, fine, crack on. No, it's not fine, and no, don't crack on. but it was the idea of people were just going in and right-clicking on an image, saving it, and then putting on their advert, right? And the other one is, and this is a really common one, and one of them said, well, I didn't know it was illegal. Well, this is what concerns me. You're a photographer, you've decided to go into business and you haven't looked up any laws to do with photography, anything to do with photography. And I'm going to get onto that because that's a real stickler for me about this whole pleading the ignorance, pleading the fifth, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You're in business and you are taking somebody's work. And this is where I want our mentality to switch. I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, but they're just starting out. Don't care. Do you feel that same way when someone's driving and pranks your car? Oh, they're just starting out. We should be kind to them. Do you feel that way when somebody is like walking down the street and just like whacks into you? Do you not go, oh, you should at least say thank you. Sorry, you should at least say sorry, right? I mean, I'm not saying that happens every time, but, and they are quite extreme examples, but the idea is that we're like, oh, you know, they've just started out. They didn't know any better. I don't care. This is business. This is business. Do you not think if you steal from Tesco's, they'll be like, sorry, it's your first time stealing. We know you didn't know what stealing was. It's okay. It's okay. Just, you can take the goods. It's fine. Now, okay, admittedly, half the time they never seem to track anyone down for their stealing. But then, in once they have got, do you think they're just going to go, you didn't know stealing was wrong? Oh my God, you didn't think taking something that wasn't yours was wrong? They're not going to fall for it. But in photography, they seem to think they can get away with it, which is mainly because the industry lets them and continually lets them get away with it. Now, I did say I'd share one of my own stories. I think I did say. So I have one extreme example. I developed a certain type of package on my website for businesses. And, you know, I checked all the photographers in the area. They didn't do it. I checked a few photographers in the nearest town. I couldn't see it. I even Googled it a couple of times. I still Google it a couple of times. Couldn't see if anyone else was doing it. And then I've been doing it probably about a month to 2 months. And then a client of mine said she was looking up my package again. That sounds ominous, doesn't it? And she said, oh, another website came up and it was a local person and they literally had the same wording in her opinion. And one of the funny thing is that she was a litigation solicitor, lawyer, don't know how you say that. And she said, it was literally your words. Everything about it was your words. And I was like, what? So I had a look and yes, there was something very distinctive that was written in amongst it all. That was my words. Now, I messaged this person and basically said, my client says it's mine. It sounds like mine. I've had a look. It looks like mine. And they didn't admit it, but they kind of were like, well, it wasn't a good enough response to it for me. And I felt like it was pretty out of order, if I'm honest, because you can claim, oh, I didn't realize it was an accident. It's not an accident. You went onto the website, control all, right click, copy, opened your website, opened a thing, whacked it in, press save and sent it. Like, that's not an accident. An accident is dropping your teacup off the side. It's not an accident if you go in and copy somebody's work. It's a deliberate choice of many different deliberate actions. So I just so happened to be at a networking sort of thing with a group of girlies I knew, and in should walk this photographer. And you know what? I did. As you can imagine, I did. I went up to her and said, hey, next time you want to steal my work, I will make you pay for it. And she looked at me and was really shocked because, I thought that was sorted. No, it's not sorted. You didn't apologise. And I realised what I should have done is immediately issued a copyright infringement notice because my website says on there, all things are copyrighted to me. And I even have a right click disabled. I know that doesn't stop many people, but the fact is it was copied. And I was so angry. And the client actually said, I can sort this out for you. And I was so worried about my reputation if I was coming down as a bully because they were new. I should have maybe listened to this video, although past me didn't do this video. Thank you, future me, for not traveling back in time to do it. Because end of day, business is business. And I spent the time doing the research and this person had just done it, in my opinion, and that of another person whose actual job it was to check this sort of stuff. So yeah, they've changed their package slightly, but it's quite similar. I've given up, but what's really funny is that this same photographer came up in a meeting. I was with a load of people and they were sharing the images that she'd taken for a certain thing. And I happened to right click Google search one of them because one of them looked awfully familiar to someone else's work I'd seen. And sure enough, it was somebody else's work. So even all these years later, hasn't learned. And I actually decided to point that out. It might make me a dick. I don't care. The fact is I was being sold this person's work in this meeting. They were going, hey, if you're interested in this kind of work, and I know you were interested in getting yours done. This person does it. And I said, this person isn't even advertising their own images with this pamphlet. This is not theirs. This is not theirs. This is a stock image. This is a splash. I want to see their work, if anything. And everyone just looked at me. What? You don't Google image reverse search? I'm like, And everyone was like, oh my God, we didn't know. I was like, well, there you go. So, you need to start doing this. Maybe I'm a dick for doing that. I just don't care at this point. One, because I knew that person had been told to stop doing this. And at this point, when you're a couple years into this, it's not okay to do that. Anyway, let's get back. Why does it hurt the industry? Which seems to be absolutely obvious. Your client sees a stolen image and thinks that's the standard, right? You then create that image, but you cannot create the image because one, you lack the skill set. Two, you lack the knowledge, probably the same thing, and you just can't get it done. And what ends up is just like a whole heap of bleh. Client gets annoyed. Client thinks that, oh, wait, photographers just randomly do this. You then lower the standard of expectation and put a sour taste in your client's mouth. Congratulations, you've pissed off another person who potentially won't book a professional photo shoot. Well done, you. You've made them question everything about legitimate photographers' abilities, and they start to look at it. You're almost like, how do I say this? The Picasso of plagiarism. I really like that. Okay, so client loses trust with a photographer, and then imagine you did someone's wedding photos and that wedding photographer was completely and utter fraud, used loads of other people's images. It builds this massive ball of distrust, which means that when anyone else is looking for a wedding photographer, they will bring up this story and share this story. And everyone will go, thanks now, Picasso of plagiarism. Everyone thinks photographers are scammers. And now I have to work extra hard to convince them that I'm legit. Brilliant. Well done, you. All because you decided to steal someone's images and couldn't produce your own. But this is a different take I had, and it basically makes the playground unfair. Like, you're there whacking out these images that don't belong to you, that are from far more competent photographers, but offering them at cutthroat prices. It's hard to say. And everyone else is there with their proper prices, and you're there going, oh, I can do this. Yeah, they're all going to go to you. They're going to think that that's what it is, and then believe that we're pants because you're waltzing around undercutting us all with an amazing portfolio that you can't create. And meanwhile, all of us are like, what about us? But you're doing it for like 30 quid and we're all doing it for 300 or whatever. Now, your costume business is your own, but you're showing high quality work, pretending you can do it and not being able to do it. So, dodgy as F. I did speak to these two photographers that admitted that they'd stolen images, and I asked them, what's it like when you get caught out? And they're like, nothing happens. I get an angry message every now and then. But mostly nothing. And the other one said, I've been threatened with next time they'll sue me. They've never sued me, so it doesn't really matter. I don't get scared anymore. Brilliant. So why do photographers stay silent, I wonder? Well, here's a few things. I asked in the group, asked a couple of my friends, and looked at my own experience. First of all, the fear of backlash. God forbid that we should want to stand up for our business. God forbid that we want to say, oi, don't do that. Because somehow we've been conditioned to believe that we're the bad guy because we're the one calling someone out publicly, even though we can see they've stolen our images, even though we can prove they're ours, but somehow we're all like, oh, I don't want the drama, I don't want bridges to burn. And then everyone does this whole thing where they're like, oh, but they're new. Newsflash, just because they're new doesn't mean they have an excuse to not know, because you enter into business, okay? It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And this whole idea of making excuses, how long do you keep making excuses for them to be new? Oh, they're only just started wedding photography, they didn't know. Oh, they only just started last year, only just started this century. They've only just won their first award. When does it stop? You are not the villain for defending someone else's stolen work, right? The villain is the thief. The thief is the villain in the story, okay? So sometimes I feel like we spend too much time worrying about feelings, and then we are about protecting the integrity of work and the integrity of the industry. And I get it. You're worried that you don't want to call somebody out because you might have it wrong. But if you know you haven't got it wrong, why can't you call it out? No one's asking you to go into your business page and go, oh my God, Khandie Photography stole my work. That'd be hilarious though, because I've never stolen anyone's work. But what you can do is go onto your profile. If you went, I've just discovered this person was stealing work, it really makes me angry. Why can't you call that out? You're not going to get sued. And if you are, it's going to be absolutely frivolous, because guess what? It's the evidence that you've got. This belongs to so-and-so. What does it matter? Every time I see someone stolen someone's work, I know this is really horrible, but particularly certain photographers who have in the past done it to me, I keep a file of whose work they've stolen as a screenshot, the post of which the other photographer has pretended it's theirs, and keep it in a folder. So in the event that anything comes back to me, I just divulge this whole folder because it was all in the public domain. I even have it dated because I am done. You might think I'm really malicious. I'm not. I'm just done with my work being stolen. The other one is when talking in this group, people go, it's nothing to do with me. It's not my work. I shouldn't get worked up about it. It's not mine. And my argument was every stolen image that goes unchecked is telling your clients you can't trust our industry or our profession, because that image belongs to somebody else. You don't get to claim it as yours. It's just not okay. You know, it spanks it spanks of like guys on Tinder. Do you remember when they would like pose on supercars that they didn't own? And like would be like, yeah, this is my car, and then people would date them, be like, oh, where's this car? And I haven't got it. It was amazing. I'm like, why? Why? You just like an absolute plonker now. So yeah, I'm done. I think like we have to start saying something. That being said, not everyone is confrontational as I. They don't know how to handle it. And there are many ways you can handle it. One, you can send them a message, take this down. Two, send them the copyright infringement notice. There are some places on the internet where you can figure out how much the cost is to you. Prove it's your copyright. Here in the UK, you took it, you've got it, it's yours. In America, it's slightly different. And in other countries, it's slightly different. But why can't you? If you're going to make light out of it, then no one's going to take you seriously. And if you want to be regarded as a professional, protect your assets, protect your work. And I've always found this really funny that people are like, oh, reporting stolen work is such a hassle. I don't know where to start. Google it. There's loads of places you can start. I know that in America you can do a takedown order. I think it's in America anyway. But you know, here there's places, there's even companies you can join to get people to take your stuff down. I joined a website where you could upload your images, and I found that there was a company fraudulently using my images of a photo shoot that I'd done to sell clothes that were not even featured in the image. I did a cease and desist with a client of mine who happens to be, as I mentioned earlier, and I also sent a copyright infringement notice, and they tried not to pay it. They are found in the UK. They claimed that they didn't realise it was, and I just don't care. I said, doesn't matter. You have no right to take something off the internet and use it as yours. They said, oh, it wasn't watermarked. Doesn't have to be watermarked. There's no legal requirement in the UK for stuff to be watermarked. Even when you go into Google and you do it, it says this image might be subject to copyright. They ignore that. I mean, I don't care. And I mean, they try to not pay. So I said, we'll go to the small claims court. And they just started to panic then. And eventually I got paid, but they tried their hardest to make it less money. And had they gone, we're really sorry, I'm really horrible, I would have probably cut the fee in half. But because they tried to bully me, I kept going. And in the end, they had to pay. And I stand by it. It's my work, you know. And they'll go, oh, and one guy said to me, I remember a band guy took work. So I was photographing a gig, and he was the support band. He was in the support band, and the main guy was who had hired me. And he said, do you mind taking 1 or 2 pictures of the other band? And I'll give it to them as a freebie. I said, yeah, no worries. I took a few pictures of the first, cut the warm-up bands. I think that's really nice to do. And then I took pictures of the main guy, right? And one of the images was everyone holding their phones up and the rock symbols, and it was his set. Well, one of the warm-up bands took that image from him, from his social media, and put it on theirs and made out that was their image. That was not the deal. So he sent me a message saying, hey, you know, it's a bit hard for me because, you know, I like hide them. Are you able to just drop them a message and remind them? So I did drop them a message. Hey, love that you love the images, but unfortunately that one isn't yours to use. Please don't use it. You know, could you find one from your own set? And this guy gave me verbal. He was abusive and rude and told me that I was highly unprofessional, and that if only I was as professional as my work was good. And I was like, I was like, excuse me. So I quoted copyright law and told him how much he would have to pay for using the image that he wasn't entitled to. He soon shut up, tried to block me. No, in fact, he did block me. So I then sent it to the lead singer and said, look, I think he's going to take it down. He then messaged the lead singer, apparently, to give abuse about it. The lead singer backed me up. I didn't want any money, just want the image not to be used. It was a really good image. It was like a really good marketing image, like really, really good. It made the head guy look incredible, you know, like, because everyone was there with their phones. You know what the kind of shot it is, right? It looked like a rammed place. It was good. And this guy tried his hardest. And then every person he spoke to kept saying, but that's the law, mate. You can't do that. And he was determined to try and take me down. It didn't work. Unfortunately, I did have the displeasure of bumping into him at the university once when I was doing some seminar work there. And he tried again, and it didn't work then. No, I've said it again, and I'll say it time. Not everybody is as confident as I. So what needs to change? I'll be honest, we need to call it out. Be it privately or publicly. No one's asked you to put it on your business pages, but you should. If you see someone stealing something, right, that is other people's work, you have to start mentioning it. I think that's important. Staying quiet is pretty much complicit in someone else's livelihood being stolen. And I just, you know, I don't want a reputation for all this out. Why? You don't want a reputation for doing the right thing. Awful. Imagine that. You don't want to do the right thing. Brilliant. I mean, and you know what? It's not my drama. Okay, fine. But then don't get annoyed when everyone else sees one of your pieces of work stolen and doesn't say anything to you. Also, this is the other thing, educate yourself and others. I don't understand how people become a photographer and don't look at the legality. Also, these people who go on courses and they don't understand that they have to understand copyright law, okay? So know your rights as a creator, speak to your peers, I love that word, speak to your peers about copyright law, look at resources. You don't need a law degree to understand copyright. If it's not yours, you can't use it unless you have explicit permission from the copyright holder, okay? Now, also, while you could say, oh, but I've got this from, I don't know, Unsplash. Okay, does that, maybe Unsplash allows you to use it, but as a photographer, is it ethically okay to share the work without telling them it's from Unsplash? I would suggest not. It's not ethical because that is not your work. And I do believe in most of the Unsplash, you actually have to attribute that image. You can't just use it and claim it as yours. You have to attribute it. But either way, if it isn't your work, don't use it in your marketing or your advertising. I also think there needs to be stronger consequences. I've seen people whose great work has been taken and put on other sites and they've been earning money off it. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram need to be faster with their takedowns and harsher penalties, I think. There are a lot of people who've had their reels stolen by other people and redone. I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? They can flag a Beyonce song in like 30 seconds, but still stolen images, either they don't see it as an issue or they don't care. But you know, I'm not having to go at Beyonce because she's a queen, love her. But it's the idea that, you know, that's still my work. I'm still part of this whole meta universe. Why are you not taking that? Now, a lot of people will say things like, oh, protect your own work, put a watermark. You don't need to put a watermark on it for it to be protected. I mean, for me, every now and then do a Google reverse image search, or even Tina, I think it's called. I just think like watermarks are so easy to remove. There's even that AI watermark remover. I don't think watermarks deter thieves. Honestly, I really don't think. I always think they look quite unsightly. I've never seen a watermark that looks great on an image. But that's to say, I just, you know, it happens. I know that clients will sometimes steal people's work and, you know, it's an awkward situation, but I'm talking about photographers. We'll go on to clients another time. That's a whole different barrel of, oh my God. But yeah. So here are my closing thoughts on this. Okay. Photographers who steal images, they're not just lazy, they're pricks. They're a plague on the industry. And the rest of us are in some way guilty for letting them get away with it if we're not calling them out. I said it. So if you want to be silent and let the thieves win, by all means do that. But we need to start protecting our work. If we want to have credibility in this industry, and especially as 2025 is going to be incredibly difficult, we need to start calling out the copycats, the right click and save crew, the ones that say it's not theirs. And if you've ever had your work stolen up, hit me up. I want to hear your story. I want to hear what happened. How did it go on? Get in the comments. Because I'll be absolutely honest, I absolutely hate when I see it. And I've almost made it like a passion project of mine. Every time I see something that just doesn't seem to be right, I will right click and I will search for that image. And I have done it with people who have sent me their marketing and I've been like, is that yours? I'm not sure. And I know it might make people hate me, but I'm just like, I'm done. Because do you know, one of my greatest friends had her work stolen and it was stolen by this content creator who had a big following, who actually earned money off of this image. And nothing came to my friend. She got nothing. And when she asked to take down, she sent her minions, that's how they would describe them, to my mate to abuse her. Even though she was legally at fault. She had done the crime. Because it is a crime and we need to start seeing that. Anyway, thanks for tuning into The Loud Lens. I've been Khandie. And for God's sake, stay original. See you next time. Hopefully I'll have a better throat. But until then, take care of you and start calling out the bullshit.